What if one of the most legendary rock bands in history suddenly loses the one person many fans say made it legendary in the first place? Rush is back in conversation again, but not for the reason old-school fans expected. Because this time, it's not just about music, it's about identity. For decades, Rush wasn't just a band, it was a trinity. Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and the man who quietly became one of the greatest drummers in rock history, Neil Peart. Neil wasn't just keeping time, he was building worlds with his drumming, writing lyrics that shaped generations, and setting a standard that almost no drummer could even approach. So now the question hits hard. Rush without Neil Peart, can it even still be called Rush? Because when you remove someone who wasn't just part of the sound, but part of the soul, what exactly is left? In this video, we're going deep, not just into the music, but into the emotion, the legacy, and the debate that's dividing fans worldwide. And I want to hear from you too. Drop your opinion in the comments as we go. And if you're a real rock fan, make sure you subscribe, because this story isn't just about the past, it's about what happens next. Now let's get into it. To understand why this question hits so hard, you have to understand what Neil Peart actually was to Rush. Most fans don't just remember him as a drummer, they remember him as a force of nature. Neil Peart wasn't flashy in the way some rock drummers are. He wasn't about showing off for attention. Instead, he played like someone building architecture with sound. Precise, intelligent, almost mechanical at times, but still deeply emotional. And that combination is what made Rush different from every other rock band of their era. While Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson built the melodies and guitars that carried the songs, Neil was doing something even bigger behind them. He was shaping the emotional direction of the music. And then there's the writing. Because Neil wasn't just sitting behind a drum kit. He was writing lyrics that dealt with philosophy, human struggle, science fiction, isolation, and meaning itself. That's rare in rock music, extremely rare. So when people say, Rush without Neil Peart, they're not just talking about losing a drummer. They're talking about losing. A co-creator of the band's identity, a major creative writer, a musical architect, and a cultural symbol inside rock history. And that's why this debate is so intense. Because once you realize how much of Rush was shaped by Neil, the question stops being simple. It becomes emotional, it becomes uncomfortable, and it becomes something fans still struggle to answer honestly. Here's where things get even more complicated. Because when you look at Rush as a band, it was never just a rock group with a drummer. Rush was a system, a balance, a rare kind of musical chemistry where every member had a defined role, and none of them could be easily replaced. Geddy Lee brought the voice and bass identity. Geddy Lee wasn't just singing, he was shaping the emotional tone of the band. Alex Lifeson added the texture, the atmosphere, the guitar landscapes that made Rush sound bigger than a three-man band. Alex Lifeson helped give Rush its cinematic feel. And then there was Neil Peart. Not just keeping rhythm, but pushing structure, complexity, and meaning into everything they did. That's why Rush always felt different from other rock bands. They didn't just play songs, they built them like mathematical compositions with emotional depth layered on top. So when people ask, can Rush still be Rush without Neil Peart? They're really asking something deeper. Can a triangle still exist if one corner is gone? Because Rush wasn't built like a typical band where members come and go easily. It was built like a locked structure, where each piece supported the others in a very specific way. And once one of those pieces is removed, even if the structure still stands, it doesn't feel the same anymore. That's the tension fans are still sitting with today. And in the next part, we're going to talk about what actually happened when Rush had to face that reality, and why the answer shocked a lot of people. For years, fans of Rush lived with a simple belief that some bands are so tightly connected to their core members that change is almost impossible. And then reality hit. The passing of Neil Peart didn't just affect the band emotionally, it fundamentally changed what Rush could be moving forward. For a long time, it felt like that was the end of the story. No tours, no new lineup, no attempt to replace what was considered irreplaceable. Because how do you replace someone who wasn't just playing drums, but also shaping lyrics, structure, and identity? You don't. So Rush went quiet, and silence in rock music is powerful. It makes people reflect. It makes fans revisit old albums. It makes legends feel even bigger than they already were. But eventually, something unexpected started happening. Rumors, discussions, interviews, subtle hints that maybe, just maybe, Rush wasn't completely finished. And when the idea of a return finally started circulating, one question instantly took over the entire conversation. If Rush comes back, who fills the impossible space left behind? Because now, this wasn't just about continuing a band. It was about continuing a legacy without the person many fans see as its heartbeat. And that's where the controversy really begins. So now we're back at the question that started all of this. Rush without Neil Peart, can it even still be called Rush? There's no easy answer. Because if you say yes, you're accepting that a band can evolve beyond its original identity, that music can continue even after its most defining voice is gone. But if you say no, then you're also saying something uncomfortable, that some legacies are so tied to one person, they can never truly continue. And that's the tension fans of Rush are living with right now. Some listeners believe Rush is bigger than any one member, that Geddy Lee, Alex Lifeson, and whoever stands with them next can still carry the spirit forward. Others believe the truth is simpler and harder. Without Neil Peart, it may still be music, it may still be powerful, but it may not be Rush in the way the world remembers it. And maybe that's okay. Maybe some bands aren't meant to be replaced or recreated. Maybe they're meant to be remembered exactly as they were, perfect, complete, and frozen in time. But I want to hear from you. Do you think Rush is still Rush without Neil Peart? Or does the name lose its meaning without him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to read every opinion on this one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into rock history and legendary bands, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because we're just getting started, and there are a lot more stories in rock music that people still argue about today. So we come back to the question that sits at the center of everything. Rush without Neil Peart, can it even still be called Rush? And the truth is, no matter how you answer it, you're not really giving a technical answer, you're giving an emotional one. Because Rush was never just a band you measured by sound alone. It was identity, philosophy, precision, and storytelling all fused together into something rare in rock history. And at the heart of that identity was Neil Peart, not just as a drummer, but as a writer, a thinker, and a creative force that helped define what Rush meant to millions of fans. So when people argue about the future, they're really not arguing about music theory or lineup changes. They're asking something deeper. Can something so tied to one person still exist without them, or does it become something new entirely? Some fans will always say Rush is eternal, that as long as Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson carry the spirit, the name still lives on. Others believe the moment Neil was gone, the chapter closed forever, and anything after that is a tribute, not a continuation. And honestly, both sides understand something important. Because whether you believe Rush continues or ended, one fact remains untouched. They changed rock music forever. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Rush can still carry its name forward without Neil Peart? Or should it remain untouched as a completed legacy? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I really want to see where you stand on this debate. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, because we're diving deeper into more legendary rock stories, band controversies, and untold histories that still divide fans today. Until next time.